Hello, my name is Liza Elise, or Cafe Misery. I'm back from hiatus, and to celebrate that, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite decks from DZ-BT-13, that being the great Magic Caster of Eternity, Berucrea. Berucrea is a Stoichia deck that revolves around 3 Magic set orders and its own regular normal order in order to power up the Vanguard and other units along with rebuilding your board and your hand size. It also has a lot of drop recursion, which we will get into very shortly, so you're going to work on building that up with the combo pieces you want. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the ride line. Starting with our 0 and 1, we've got the Future Magic Caster, Berucrea, which is the regular starter, has the standard starter skill. It's important that we're on that because Apprentice Magic Caster Berucrea activates when you ride up from her. By Soul Blasting 1, you search the deck in hand for 3 magic cards with different names and put them into the order zone. Then you shuffle up, and if you put 1 or more cards from hand, draw a card. Unfortunately, this means if you end up with 2 in hand, you're only getting 1 card back. Before we go on to the rest of the ride line, real fast, let's go ahead and talk about our 3 magics. All 3 are magic set orders with the act condition that as long as your opponent's a magic caster with the grade that it is, 1, 2, or 3, you can rest it to do one of 3 effects, depending on which one. Startle King, the grade 1 gives one of your units 5k, and all of them also have the restriction that you cannot use you can't rest any magics or use their abilities unless it's by the skill of a magic caster Vanguard. Yeah, Startle King increases the Vanguard or other units' power by 5k. Vox Toll actually has 2 skills. One is only once per game where you draw a card. The other has you draw 1 discard. Both have the same condition that you can't rest anymore. And then Exelunis lets you revive a unit from the drop zone, but their auto abilities are negated on place. So they'll still have their on attack autos. It's just that they don't get any on place searching abilities. Moving on, now that we've quickly talked about the magics, our grade 2 is Peerless Magic Caster Berucrea, which, when rode upon, you get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and ditch 2 from that 7, then you shuffle. So, same as the grade 2 from the Deep Lands ride line. Really funny. And, of course, our grade 3 is the Great Magic Caster of Eternity, Berucrea, who has the auto ability that whenever you use a Grand Magic order, you activate the act of a magic in the order zone. You get to choose a unit and give it 5k. This can be any of your regards or herself. She has once per turn act to Soul Blast 1 and rest a magic and activate the act ability of resting it without paying cost. This is how you get to activate 2 of them per turn. And then, as an auto, at the end of the battle, she attacks. For a single counterblast, you get to restand her and set her drive to 0. Going into the main deck, for our grade 3s, we have 3 Persona Rides, and then 4 copies of her Eternal Grand Magic, Segrelos, which is a normal order that can be played from drop as long as you have a grade 3 Berucrea and your opponent is on grade 3. And you have at least 3 magics in your order zone. So as long as you have these 3, you're on Berucrea and your opponent's 3. It has the very simple effect of binding the card and making it so that your Vanguard's power or drive checks does not decrease. So she'll swing, restand, swing again for a total of 4 drives in the turn. Very straightforward. Moving on to our grade 2s. First off, we have her Mythich, the Mythich of Eternity Nilsvigor, which gets 3 abilities as long as you have a Berucrea Vanguard. First off, it's not affected by the continuous abilities of Exelunis that's in the order zone. When it's placed on the rearguard circle for a single counterblast, you check the top 5 cards of your deck and either add a Berucrea or a Grand Magic from amongst them to hand and shuffle up, and if you don't add a card, you draw a card, so you're always getting +1 off this. And lastly, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard attacks, it gets +5. So every time she swings, it'll go up 5. That's not a once per turn, so he's going up 10k every turn, unless you choose not to do the restand. Continuing on, we also have 2 copies of Amiable Fairy, which, when placed on Rearguard Circle, as long as you have a Berucrea Vanguard, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck to dump 1 and shuffle. Other than that, when she attacks, if you have a Grade 3 or greater Berucrea, and it was placed on drop, or placed on rear from drop this turn, she'll get plus 15. She'll be a 25k beater the turn she's revived. And one of our ways to revive her alongside Exelunis is going to be Azure Sky White Scale, Asperonia, and Saphira, the Keter Stoicheia Dual Nation, which, when placed on Rearguard Circle from hand, other than during the battle phase, you get to look at the top card. Either leave it there or discard it. Then for a counterblast, you either get to add a normal order from drop to hand or revive a grade 2 or greater unit. Other than that, for grade 2s, we're also on 2 copies of Sea Rumble Brave Shooter, the Guncycler, who, when discarded or placed on Guardian Circle from hand, or discarded for ride specifically, for a counterblast or 3 energy, you get to draw a card. And when it's placed on Rearguard Circle, as long as you Persona Road, for that same cost, Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, you either get to choose a grade 2 or less normal unit that does not have Sentinel, or an order card from drop, and then add it to hand. And then you have to discard a card. But this is a way to add back the Amiable Fairy to do the on-place. Other than that, we've got the 1 copy of the Stoicheia Ace unit, Mutual Feelings Main Pence, who, for her unique skill, when she's placed, you can give her 5k, EB3, and check the top 7 cards, dump 1, and then call a unit from drop with grade less than including Vanguard. And when she attacks a grade 3 Vanguard, she'll get plus 5, and if you have 10 or more cards, she'll get an extra 5. And running out our grade 2 cards, we've got Protection Twin Cast. Moving into our grade 1s, we're on 3 copies of Treetop Bowhunter Trita, who, when you play a Grand Magic, as long as you don't have a copy of her, you get to call her back from drop, and she gets to be a 10k booster for that turn. Along with that, as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Berucrea as a name, she's an interceptor and can intercept in the back row. And lastly, when she's put on Guardian Circle, whether she intercepts or is placed from hand, for 3 energy, she gets to be a 15k shield. She gets plus 10. Along with that, since this is a deck that works on building up its drop zone a lot to get back combo pieces, we're also on 4 copies of Conceited Noble Philander, who, when placed from hand, you get to check the top 5 cards of your deck to dump a card, and during your turn, as long as the drop has 10 or more cards, he gets to be an 18k booster, or in a pinch, a beater. Lastly, we've got our Perfect Guards, 3 regular ones, and Sanctitude. And moving into our triggers. First off, we are on 4 copies of Aspiring Maiden Alana. In really, really bad games, you can run into soul issues very rarely if you're missing Persona rides. And it's throughout a long, grindy game. So having the soul criticals is very important, actually. And then we've got 4 more crits. For the non-criticals, non-heals, we're on 3 shield fronts. You could do the soul fronts too. I think the deck needs just a smidge extra defense, not that much. The extra 5k making these 3 20ks in the deck is just enough. Moving into our heals, first off, we've got 3 regular ones and 1 copy of Xiphophilia Fairy Asher. I've never actually read this card's name, I'm not going to lie. Which, this is the counter heal that, as long as the opponent's attacking unit is attacked 2 or more times, it gets to be a 25k guard. The reason we're only on 1 is because you do a lot of drive checks in the deck, you have a lot of searching, you have a lot of... you have a bit of draw from Nilsvager and from Voxel. So, you don't really need to sacrifice the guard for a 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th of it to counter decks that you may not actually see. You are perfectly fine just having the 1 because you are likely to see it. You're likely to see it eventually. And lastly, for the OT, we're of course on the Source Dragon, Deity of Blessings, Blessed Favor, who, when Drove Check, does all 4 trigger effects. You draw a card, give a unit a critical, give your front row 10k, and heal a card in that order. Going into the pros and cons of the deck, first off, this deck is very good on power. The fact that every time you use a Magick, you give something 5k means if you have weaker columns, you can boost them up, or you can put all the power on Berucrea herself. She's going to swing twice no matter what, as long as you have 1 counterblast, and you want to use it on her, so she's always pressure. Your opponent being grade 3 onwards, your Persona Ride turn onward, or going second your first grade 3 turn, you're always getting 4 drive checks because through just, first off, you're on 4 copies of it, you're on 4 Nilsvager, 4 Philander. You have numerous ways to get it into hand or drop. So you are going to see the Segoreos, and you're going to be able to buff up. Like I said, you can put all the power that she gives, that her skill gives to herself, because Nilsvager will gain at least 10k, Amiable Fairy will gain 15, or if you have some weaker board states, like you're on Saphira still, you have to call a Rebel Brave Shooter to get some pieces back together. Or you can put the power here and still have a very menacing Berucrea swing because she still has drive checks. On that, you've got good recursion. Trita comes back on her own. You can always revive at least 1 unit a turn with Exelunis, so you are always in a position to intercept and not worry about losing your units. And because of how fast you're thinning the deck with the Amiable Fairy is ripping 3 out immediately, Voxel drawing cards, Saphira checking the top card so you can just leave it there and not worry about it. Nilsvager top 5 or draw a card. Philander top 5 to dump 1. You are going to be seeing your triggers a lot, and it is honestly worth it sometimes to be like, I can just take a crit. I have enough triggers in deck and I've condensed it. You have a lot of pressure with this deck. However, in really bad grind games, this deck can lose to really bad variants. If you get crit sacked a little too much before you have any chance to get good guard ready, because again, turn 3 or 4 onward, you're getting 4 extra cards a turn, you're drive checking a lot, so you have a decent sized hand. But if you lose to getting crit sacked, or you don't see your Persona Ride, so you don't have soul, that ends up costing you in the long run. This deck can lose really hard to getting rushed a little too much. You're fine because you can revive stuff. Yeah, you can ditch your whole hand for guard. But if you can't hold on to one piece to pull every bit of guard together to make it worth throwing all that guard down, you will lose to just not having enough engine. But that is matchup dependent and game to game. Overall, this deck is really fun, really powerful. It feels like it shouldn't be that fun, so it's just a restanding Vanguard, but the way everything actually comes together is really interesting. There's a lot you can do. But that's just me. This is, like I said, one of my favorite decks of this format. And if you guys like the video, you like listening to me yap like an idiot for a while, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And it's good to be back. I'll see y'all next time. Ciao.